Hello, my name is JFowler, and in this video I will be presenting my capstone experience for the iTech EDS certification through Kennesaw State University. I currently work at Coal Creek High School in Whitfield County. I've been teaching for 12 years. I currently teach Honors Geometry, Honors Algebra 2, and Regular Education Algebra 2. Some of the billets I hold at the school include the Gifted Coordinator, AP Coordinator, Georgia Virtual School Coordinator, and the Governor's Honors Programs Representative. The title of my capstone experience is Flipping an Algebra 1 Classroom. The problem that I was researching was at Coal Creek High School, approximately 73.1% of the Algebra 1 students score below proficient for grade level content on the state EOC test. Uriah Aurelia states, students who fail this course, Algebra 1, were 4.1 times more likely to drop out than those who passed the course. Coal Creek does have a graduation rate of 92.8%, but I do believe that this could be significantly higher if this need of addressing the weakness in Algebra 1 were to be addressed properly. Students who fail Algebra 1 are required to retake the course until they pass it, so it creates this snowball effect. They fail Algebra 1 their first year, so in their sophomore year, they have to take Algebra 1 and Geometry. And so for each year after that, they continually have to take 2 math classes. And it leads several students to dropping out just because they can't handle the workload. I do believe improving student performance in Algebra 1 is an essential step towards generating student success throughout high school. The goal of the capstone experience was to design and develop an instructional resource in the form of a website that focused on the flipped classroom model for an Algebra 1 classroom. Tekin and Imioglu Sarakaya found that mathematical achievement of the students studying with the flipped classroom model improved, and believe the student-centered characteristics of the flipped classroom improve students' attitudes towards mathematics. The purpose of the website was that it would be used for professional development and for cataloging resources that could be used in the flipped classroom. It would also have information and research on the flipped classroom model for those that were kind of new to the model. It would also provide lessons and engaging projects for the Algebra 1 curriculum. And of course, with any flipped classroom model, the focus is to maximize face-to-face instructional time for practice and authentic projects that engage higher order thinking skills in the students. And then finally, by flipping the Algebra 1 classroom, students will become more engaged and develop the skills necessary to pass the class. Now we're going to take a moment and look at the website. The Flipping an Algebra 1 Classroom website was built using the Weebly platform. The first page that comes up whenever the user goes to the website is going to be the introduction page. On the introduction page, I discuss the purpose of the website. I provide a definition of flipped learning as presented by flippedlearning.org. And then down at the bottom of the page, I have 2 videos featuring John Bergman. John Bergman and Aaron Sams are considered 2 of the leading pioneers of the flipped classroom model. Alright, in both of these videos, John Bergman describes what flipped learning is and kind of simplifies what flipped learning should kind of look like in the classroom. The next page of the website provides a description of the different models of the flipped classroom. Alright, it has an embedded video from YouTube here, just kind of giving a general overview of what a flipped classroom should look like. And then down below we have descriptions or definitions of each of the flipped classroom models. We have the traditional, debate-oriented, demonstration-focused, group-based, virtual, double-flipped, and then flipping the flipped classroom. The research page once again provides research to support the flipped classroom model being implemented into today's classroom. Some of the research includes research on the different instructional strategies of the flipped classroom, the use of the flipped classroom in high school math classes, because this is an Algebra 1 website, so Algebra 1 is a high school math course. You have the cognitive effect of the flipped classroom model on students. You also have research on the teacher and student perspective of the flipped classroom model. And then the final piece of research down here is the flipped classroom model and problem-based learning. The lessons page provides a drop-down menu, and the lessons are broken down into the 6 units as described by the Georgia Performance Standards of Excellence. Whenever the user clicks on one of the links or one of the tabs, they're taken to a page. Like in this case, this is Unit 1, which is relationships between quantities and expressions. And as they scroll down, they'll find each one of the lessons for the unit broken down and with pre-recorded lessons. Now, throughout the websites, some of the lessons were created by me and recorded by me using either PowerPoint or document cameras and screencasting software. I've also used, like in lesson 1.2, I used a Prezi so the students could get a different approach, learning with a different platform. Some of the lessons were found on YouTube through a lot of research and just watching a lot of videos. I found videos that corresponded with my teaching style or the topics that I was teaching and the way that I taught them. Those videos are embedded in here as well. The task page, once again, is broken down into 6 units. With each unit, there are a list of tasks that the teacher can utilize during the classroom instruction time to help students engage in higher order thinking. Now, if you look on the task page, each page, there's learning task, and there are on the left student copies of each task and then teacher copies on the right. There are also formative assessments, once again, student copies on the left, teacher copies on the right. There are performance tasks and culminating tasks. And there are tasks for each of the 6 units. So the teacher or user has a lot of resources here that they can utilize to implement problem-based learning inside the classroom. The tools and resources page has 2 drop-downs. First of all, the tools page. The tools page provides some resources and links to these resources that they can use when creating their own classroom, flipped classroom model. I provide links to Screencastify, Screencast-O-Matic, assessment tools such as Edulastic and Edpuzzle, and Formative. These are just some of the resources that are available that I provided links to that the teacher can begin to utilize as they begin to develop and implement the flipped classroom model in their classrooms. The resources page, these are resources that the teacher can use to gain a better understanding of what the flipped classroom should look like or develop their understanding of the flipped classroom model. There are links to fliplearning.org. There is literature. This one is by John Bergman and Aaron Sams. This is Flipping Your Classroom. There is also, once again, since this is an Algebra 1 website, this is a book by John Bergman and Aaron Sams. This is Flipped Learning for Math Instruction. There are also certifications through some of the platforms like Edpuzzle so that you can better utilize those tools in the flipped classroom model. And then finally, the last page is a Contact Me page. Now, this is an opportunity for any user that wanted to contact me. They could contact me and ask questions about the flipped classroom model, or they could contact me and provide additional resources that I could upload to the website to make the website a better tool for the user. The Capstone experience also required me to deliver professional development and coaching to my peers as they began to utilize and implement the materials from the website. Professional development was provided during a planning period. One day, what I did was prior to the professional development or period of instruction, I provided a video of the flipped classroom model to the teachers where they watched the video prior to coming to the professional development. And then once in the professional development, authentic learning experience, they began to research or plan or design their own flipped lesson where they found videos and tried to find authentic learning activities to do during the class so that they could actually begin to implement these strategies that they were learning about. Following the professional development, I provided one-on-one coaching with each of the teachers. Coaching is just as important as the initial professional development. Coaching is a critical part of the implementation process. Jim Knight explains how coaching is used to foster improvement in teaching and in classroom practices. The coaching took place in 2 different sessions. The first session was after the professional development, when I used the feedback from the professional development evaluation form to individualize each of the coaching sessions. The second coaching session followed a 4-week time period where the teachers had an opportunity to implement the flipped classroom model and record some of their lessons. This followed along with the Jim Knight's impact cycle that we had learned about during the ITEP program. The evaluation plan for the Capstone experience was centered on surveys. The surveys were sent out to the teachers after each period of professional development. They were also sent out to teachers based on their use of the website. The results of the surveys helped to identify the impact of professional development and the level of successful implementation of the flipped classroom model. This Capstone experience also provided me the opportunity to create an infographic. The infographic was created using Canva and distributed to all the Algebra 1 teachers within the district. This informed them about what the website was. It gave a link providing them an opportunity to go and look at the website to get their opinion on it and ask for improvements or any kind of input on the website. Throughout this Capstone experience, I've had the opportunity to learn many lessons and demonstrate many skills. The most profound lesson I've learned is that it's important for technology leaders and facilitators to be flexible. You can't foresee or plan for technology issues, student learning needs, parent interaction. So it's just important that technology leaders and facilitators to be flexible. It's also important to ensure that all parties involved, administrators, teachers, parents, and students, share the same vision for the student goals for student achievement in technology in the classroom. It's important to ensure that you have district level support and understand that support can change based on community input, state regulations, and national standards. We know that especially math standards are changing all the time. I learned that I can model and coach my peers on the implementation of technology in the classroom and in teaching strategies. I don't have to hold the title of an instructional technology coordinator. I can be a technology leader and facilitator from inside my classroom. I learned that working with my fellow Algebra 1 teachers, I was able to model and facilitate the effective use of research best practices in instructional design, teaching them how to design lessons so that students are engaged and that higher order thinking skills are facilitated. In this, I was able to demonstrate my ability to develop, model, and facilitate the use of online and blended learning through the flipped classroom model. I conducted needs assessments to determine strengths and weaknesses, such as the weakness of or the correlation between students not on grade level and the graduation rate. I was also able to provide professional development and coaching on research-based instructional strategies, such as the flipped classroom model and problem-based learning, which are best practices in teaching, learning, and assessment. I also learned to design and implement program evaluations to determine the overall effectiveness of professional learning. I evaluated my own professional development through surveys in the Capstone experience. As educators, we need to be mindful of the value of collaborating with our peers who are more experienced in things like our flipped classroom model. We also need to ensure that we have the support of administrators to sustain the flipped classroom model. There's going to be a learning curve, there's going to be questions, there's going to be doubt, but it's important that your administrator supports you as you implement this new strategy. And finally, it's important that educators be patient and stay the course when implementing something new. Of course, there's going to be a learning curve, there's going to be doubts, but it's important that you just stay the course and continue to develop and grow as an educator and as a flipped classroom teacher.